All right. I feel like I had a lot to say about what we witnessed on Saturday. So I'm going to go ahead and read off some of the notes that I took down. And then I stopped taking notes because I had other shit to do. And so that stuff will just come right off the head and we'll see how that goes. Starting off with the first fight, robbery. It was not even like close. Like, I don't know, maybe I wasn't watching, but I feel like I was locked in. First fight of the night, I'm normally like, zone. To be fair, like I said, maybe I wasn't the one paying attention, but I didn't think this was that great of a fight, but I was kind of invested. So that was kind of the crazy part. My guy, Cody Gibson, second fight of the night, came in and did exactly what he needed to do to get the W. If I could, I will say that I wish you would have smashed him with the elbows more. He was laying there doing this, but the impact alone, if you would have just kept smashing, forearm just, like, bro, just, you could have killed him in front of his home crowd. And I know you're a respectable guy, and I know that's not your MO. You wanted to get the submission. You're a nice guy, nice fella. But the sub it just wasn't there for that night, And he was actually surprisingly doing a good job of being able to defend it, which was annoying because he's been subbed so many times. But like I said, I feel like you could have smashed the elbows. You went in the post-fight interview and you talked about how the ref or the judge talked about you were the first to land the 12-6 or cut somebody on a 12-6 legally. You could have done it several more times. I'm pretty sure you tried to sink in that triangle choke about 7 times. If you would have taken one of those attempts and just mounted up, which you were already in the mounted body triangle, remember that, you could have just rained elbows and strike. You could have gotten away with a bunch of illegal strikes too, as we'll talk about later with another fight. But this one, Cody Gibson, shout out you, man. Let me see. Yeah, I wish you just would have smashed the elbows, dude. Smash is like the only thing that I think you could have done with it. Like, I don't think you would have sliced him. I'm not saying I think you should have just cut him up. Like, bro, you should have pounded his head into the mat. Like, seriously. I respect you, though. Shout out you. You got a dub for us, and I knew you would because you're that motherfucking dude. All right, next. City. I'm going to read it off kind of how I have it. So, City's a dog. Absolutely. I knew that coming in. Shout out Ukraine. Didn't know he was born in Canada. I think that's what it was. But relations to Canada, which was really cool to see. City, very well-rounded skill set. Even if majority of the people think he lost that fight, I might say he skated by with it. I might side with the judging on that one. But that's just me. It's just me. He's only going to get better, right? And look at the size that he has for the weight class. He's tied for the second tallest. And I know that's not just a given for him to be great, but having advantages is always good. Should be very decent, at least decent, right? If the bottom floor for City is decent, like I think we're not asking for much. I think he'll be good to great, but decent he should be. Matched with his heart, like I mean, listen. Heart can get you a lot of things in this sport. I'm not going to say that you don't need skill and that a skill deficit is not going to be a disaster waiting to happen. But if you got heart, you can get places. And City does have some heart. So, also, it was probably a robbery. Like I said, City was born in Canada, I think. So, however you see it, shout out City. I think you really are a dog. Even if you think you lost the fight also. I think you're a dog. You did this one. Judging gave it to you because you showed the heart in front of the hometown. That's really, I guess, the point of it. Cut the fucking heavyweights. Dude, oh my gosh. 13 and 15, and that's what they look like. I really don't. I'm not even trying to make it seem like I could do what they did, quote unquote. But that right there is something that the majority of the fan base could go out there and do. They just did not know what was going on. They couldn't read the room. We wanted to see heavyweight slug. They wanted to sit here and halfway wrestle and stand in front of each other and stand in front of each other. Not swinging is the other portion of that, like, so those two heavyweights, 13 and 15, that is a disgrace right there. It just shows like maybe ranked heavyweights should just only be 10. There's no reason to go 12 to 15 if they're going to look like that. Jesus, Lord have mercy. So whatever. That's just my opinion. Zalal did exactly what I thought he was going to do. Probably exactly what everybody thought he was going to do. He's just that guy right now. And Jack Shore, surprisingly, a very decorated grappler. He's got a lot of submission wins and never been subbed. Don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure though. But yeah, no, I definitely think Zalal got that one. That was like an easy performance against somebody who's a great grappler. So that should show you how good Zalal is. And his stand-up wasn't even looking too bad. Go back and look at that knee. He was cooking for a second. So I just really like my boy Zalal. and I'm rooting for him again. Like I said, the resurgence in the UFC for Cody Gibson and Yusuf Zalal, very warranted, very warranted. Shout out whoever made that call because they know what's up. Charles Air Jourdain coming in with the new back tat. It took me like 2 rounds to figure out it was a pirate. I was kind of confused why it had hair because it's like a skeleton. Wouldn't the hair also fall off or die? Like, I don't even know. Isn't that attached to the scalp, not the skull? It was a cool tattoo, but Charles Jourdain did exactly what I knew he would do and win. I didn't know how he was going to do it because he's such a well-rounded fighter. Going up a weight class should be a new path for him, of course. Like, he should find some success because, like I said, so well-rounded, was able to find success at a weight class that apparently he was uncomfortable at because now he's moving up to the more comfortable weight class. And I think this is just very good for him. I think this is going to be awesome. And, yeah, shout out fucking Charles Jourdain. I think I did this the night of the fights too. Pretty sure Charles Jourdain actually went down in weight class. I'm not too sure. I'm like actually confused. Didn't he fight John Silva at 145? John Silva missed weight, so now he's going down to 135. That's kind of interesting, but I do think it is good to note. Maybe I should correct myself. Whatever. Back to it. Charles Jourdain, yeah, absolutely. Great finish. Thank you for actually finishing because a lot of people, I don't know, we didn't see the hype. Like normally when Charles Jourdain comes around, people are going crazy. I didn't see it this time. And obviously he just came off a knockout. Maybe people were doubting him. I definitely wasn't. I knew he was about to come in here and finish a guy who's never been finished. Easy work. But it's just how it goes. Oh, Zahabi definitely stole this fight. Pedro Munoz, I think, was definitely leading the fight. Zahabi, if he did win the fight, the thing that I want to note is he doesn't fight very often. He's probably just not going to fight again for a very long time. He's like fought, he's 12-2 now, right? I believe it is after the win since like 2015. That's not a lot of fights. Pedro Munoz, he's been around since 2014, something like that, and he's had a lot of different fucking fights as well. But the thing is Zahabi robbed him, in my opinion, in front of the home crowd. And it wasn't a performance that made me think, yeah, he's on the come up now. You give him another fight and he's going to show something better. Like, I'm glad that he's a dude that doesn't fight very often. It just sucks that he gave Pedro Munoz an L here because I don't think it's a worthy spot in the rankings for somebody who doesn't fight that often. He might go out here and lose the next fight. I would rather Pedro Munoz get the higher competition than Zahabi because Zahabi didn't really look that great. Okay, that is where my notes kind of end. I know I was doing my own thing for a second, even though I wasn't reading directly for it. So let me pull up the first fight of the main card, which I already know was Mr. Mike Malott. He's ridiculous, guys. He's actually ridiculous. I'm not trying to badmouth anybody. I'm just calling it how I see it. But Mike Malott, the fact that you didn't get a finish is not bad. It's just concerning that you didn't make an attempt to get a finish. I think that is more or less where people are upset. And obviously people weren't upset in the crowd. They love you. Proper Mike Malott. I appreciate you. But you got to show some urgency. You got to show that I want to, I got to put these dudes away because if the day comes that the judging doesn't go your way, you're going to look like an idiot. So you gotta go back to finishing dudes. Didn't you do that before Neil Magny finished you? This was just a performance that showed me that you just were spooked or something after Neil Magny. I really don't know. You just didn't fight. Like, I want to make a point that I think Mike Malott, and I could be completely wrong, early in the fight, he was throwing a lot of high kicks that were getting properly blocked by Trevin Giles, and the elbow, it might have been connecting to the top of the foot. And if I could tell you one thing, that shit hurts. So if he hurt his foot, he did keep throwing it, though. I'll give you that. He did keep throwing it. It did not land very often. They were blocked mostly until you started throwing the front kick, which I thought was nice, even though it didn't have any damaging effect because you were kicking him with the toe. You were like flapping him in the face with your toes, not kicking him with like the ball of your foot. You weren't trying to kill him. That's really the point that I keep coming down to is like you just didn't have any intensity, Mike. So you got to come out here next time. I'm with you again on the next one, but you got to have some more intensity. That's all I'm looking for. Show me that you want me to have a good time. How about that? Pause. Ooh. All right. I know a lot of people said that this was a lock. And it always seems to be that the super locks of the card, a.k.a. Marc-Andre, I don't remember how to say the damn name anymore, the last name, but it just sucks that this was everybody's super lock. Everybody was confident. I was confident. Dustin just went through fucking nerve damage in his face, but he didn't give a shit. He didn't give any fucks. He was ready to kill this man. And you know what he did is just that. Wow, Marc Andre, like, if talk about right on the button. He put you out and then smashed you one more on the way down. Like, bro, this was a nasty fucking finish for Dustin. I don't know what's next for you, bro, but I would love to fucking see it. I was kind of hating on you. I'm not gonna lie, I was hating. I was ready for you to get knocked out and split on out the league, but nah, I'm cool. I'm cool with it. If you're gonna do this, you can prove me wrong and you can make me a fan. That's normally how it goes. So continue doing what you're doing, and I want to see that again. I feel like, man, it was a 50-50 right there. They're both coming off knockouts. One is to a dude who hits harder than Francis. One is to, a dude who throws spinning elbows out of his shoes. I thought it was a clear cut, run dry decision, but I was wrong. Okay, Jasmine. I think you put on a performance that made me question how good you actually are at times. Your striking looked a lot worse than I remember it being before. Maybe I was just swayed with recency bias that you actually were winning fights. Like, oh, she must be good because she's winning. And maybe I wasn't giving the credit to the eye test. But this one, I was watching. It was looking real sketch for a second. The fact that you got a finish is pretty impressive. I'll give you that. You finally got it. But that was not until after you threw about 15 illegal strikes to the back of the head. I can't tell you how many times it was. She was smashing the shit out of her fucking head. Like, and the ref was just looking at it like it was ridiculous. And I'm sitting there, I'm screaming it, and people are telling me in the Discord call, like, bro, it's hitting the glove. It's nothing. Like, first off, it wasn't hitting no glove. And two, even if it was, you still gonna let the spine, like, aimed at the spine? Like, come on, no. She was fucking her up for a second. I know I'm going crazy on it, but I do believe it was pretty egregious. So shout out Jasmine for getting a dub, but I think you were doing some questionable shit that Cody Gibson probably could have got away with earlier had he known that you could just do whatever the fuck you want now. I talked about the heavyweights earlier, but the light heavyweights were no better. Caio Machado and Brenson Ribeiro, I'm gonna name you both out because you guys are close to being on the level of what we saw in the heavyweight matchup with Nascimento and Romanov. These dudes were just not great. It looked like they had never taken a technical, like, boxing class, kickboxing class. They just did not have it. They were just throwing shit out the wall. Like, I don't even know what was happening most of this fight. Maybe I was just in a bad mood. Now that I'm thinking about it, like, was this a banger card and I just hate myself right now? Because this fight was so bad. Oh my gosh, it was so bad. And then the fact that it may have been a robbery too, which was kind of crazy. The dude was like on his knees praying, crying and stuff. Maybe he thought he didn't win too, and he was pretty happy. But they didn't give the decision to the Canadian born. I think it was Canadian born again. I'm not too sure. He's Brazilian, but he's fighting out of Canada, so maybe it's different. Maybe this one's the other way around. I'm not too sure. I'm not trying to get something wrong. The only thing I want you to know that is right is that these dudes are not top competition, especially after that performance. Maybe they'll show us better in the next one, but as of right now, I questioned why this was high up on the main card. There you go. This is the reason why I questioned. Oh, Aaron Blanchfield and Rose Namajunas. Rose, there's just nothing more for me to say. I've said it before, and there was reasons that I was doubting your abilities. You doubt yourself. I was walking in saying, I'm the best. I'm the best. I was following Rose's technique, and I didn't even hear her say it. I wasn't even listening to her. I couldn't even hear her, I guess. She didn't feel like she was the best that fight. Erin looked very sloppy. She looked like she didn't belong in the top of any division, in my opinion. Like, what I saw her doing was, it just didn't look great. And then the fact that she was winning the fight, it's really unfortunate to see. Maybe she's just that good. She can look so bad and still win fights. DDP's the same way. And I'm not the one who coined that. I seen that floating around, and I don't believe it, but she's not great, guys. I don't believe she's coming for any type of belt, and I've been saying that for a little bit. Obviously, she's close to the belt, so she's going to get that shot one day, but I'm not buying it yet. I'm not buying it. And then, obviously, we got the main event. Brandon Moreno. That's about it. Brandon Moreno. That's the only thing you can say. Brandon Moreno is a motherfucking guy. And he's on fire right now. Like, he is that dude. He knows what's up. And Amir Albazi, you can't even say too much about him because he didn't do anything. He stood there and got punched and let me glaze Brandon Moreno for 5 rounds. Like, you got me sitting here saying, oh shit, Brandon Moreno, Brandon Royval, we are going to go back at it, and this is going to be a great one. After the 2 recent performances that both of you just put on, there's no reason why we shouldn't reset that, why we shouldn't run it back. That is a firefight in the making because Amir Albazi didn't do anything. All we have to do is get one more level above that, and we're fine. Just don't get 50-45. And it's a decent fucking matchup. Brandon Moreno looked like he was on fire. He looked like he had everything flowing for him. There was times where I was questioning why he was slipping around so much. This fucking cage was ridiculously slippery in the octagon. Like, they both were doing it and they kept standing over this big ass wet spot. So it was pissing me off. Like, do you not see why you're slipping? It's like, do you not see the big? So anyway, it was a good fight. I really appreciate Brandon Moreno for kind of saving the day. This was an interesting card. He showed love to the Canadian crowd. A lot of people did. I thought this was a great crowd. But the card itself, in my opinion, fell through. And it's really hard for me to say that it didn't. So I appreciate everybody who was there watching. And if you liked it, please let me know. But as of right now, Canada had some really interesting cards in this last year. And going forward, they're going to have to figure some shit out.